Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Wilda Reen. And as you know, we start off our meetings by reciting the four-way test. Please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? You guys did really well without the prompts. I'm very impressed. Today, our opening song, America the Beautiful, and the pledge will be led by Leanne Wilson, followed by the invocation by past President Jackie Summers, and visitor introductions by Robin Rohrbaugh.
Rotarians and guests, please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Could you please join me in a word of prayer? Everlasting God, let us center ourselves in your spirit, embracing the presence of light and humanity. As we celebrate this festive season, may the gentle glow of hope illuminate our path, guiding us with purpose and compassion. Remind us that hope is born not just in grand gestures, but in small acts of kindness and generosity. Fill our hearts with the courage to reach beyond ourselves, to notice those in need, and to respond with open hands and open hearts, considering our world objectives: freedom from hunger, from oppression, and from sickness. Grant us the clarity to discern your direction and the strength to follow where you lead us. We lift up fellow Rotarians, mourning the loss of loved ones and those who are battling illness. Thank you for our speaker, Jacob Gilliland, who is a testament to remarkable perseverance, resilience, and dedication. His inspiring journey reminds us that extraordinary goals are attainable when we commit ourselves fully and embrace our challenges. We pray for your blessing on this food and for those who have prepared and served it. And may we all be inspired to serve others with humility, mercy, and joy. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests of today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Wilda has welcomed you. Guests of the Youth Leadership Committee: Sarah Farouk, Jaceline Garci Soto, Emily Reel, Carol Alvarez, Madison Gilliland, guest of our speaker. Guests of John Gilliland, Denise Gilliland, Michael Gilliland, Liz Gilliland Lansanese. Guest of Brad Smith, Travis King. Guest of Frank Countess, Rebecca Countess. Guest of Joe Young, Logan Baker. Guest of Patrick Ball, Matt Leininger. Guest of Chad Myers, Tim Folk. Guest of Bill Anstein, William Anstein. And finally, guest of Chad Myers, Norm Cross. Thank you for joining us.
Guests, we're so glad to have you here with us today. Whether this is your first time or you're back again, it's always a pleasure to have new faces in the room. If what you see here today resonates with you, we'd love to have you consider becoming part of our Rotary family. Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. And now for some announcements. The Membership Recruitment Committee will meet today at 3 o'clock on Teams. The Youth Literacy Committee will meet on December 12th at 9 a.m. on Teams. As a reminder, there is no meetings on December 24th and December 31st. And in preparation of Christmas, Rotary gear is here this week. So if you've ordered gear and selected that you wanted to pick it up at Rotary, please pick it up today at the table on the stairs after Rotary. And now I invite past President Jackie Summers back to the podium for an exciting announcement from the Membership Recruitment Committee.
Thank you, President Wilda. You may recall at the beginning of President Wilda's year in July, the Membership Recruitment Committee issued an incentive for you to consider bringing guests to the Rotary Club, but then also encouraging them to become members. And as incentive, we're offering 3 winners, 3 gift cards for $100 each to a restaurant in downtown York. And so today I am pleased to announce the winners of this drawing and to tell you that starting in July to today in December 10th, we have 17 new members who have joined our club, which I think deserves a round of applause. Okay, and now for the winners. So bringing in new member Dave Shiverini is Rotarian Bill Hunter. Yay, Bill. You can see me after the meeting and I'll give you your gift cards then and I'll just save time. Thank you. And introducing new member Vanita Delari, we have Jennifer Clancy. Is she with it? There she is. Yes, congratulations, Jennifer. And these two really fought over this final recipient, our newest member of the Rotary Club of York. These ladies have been after her for a while and shared proposing her. So for the induction of Bernice Quisenberry into our club, we give our final gift card to Jane Schussler and Jody Keller. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you all. Continue to bring guests, continue to encourage membership. We thank you for all that you're doing. This is an awesome club.
Wow, thank you all. And what a great Christmas gift to go out to dinner and support our downtown businesses. And as Jackie said, thank you to all of our members. Our club only grows through our membership and bringing in new members. So we appreciate that and continue bringing guests. And so guests today, no pressure in joining our club, but it's a great place to be every week. And now I invite Angela Merrick to the podium for our Students of the Month.
Hello, good morning or afternoon. I have the honor of being able to introduce 2 incredible young ladies from York Academy Regional Charter School. And I'm going to call out for the first one, Miss Sarah Farouk, who is an 11th grader. She is an assistant. She spends her time as an assistant to her Spanish teacher in the afternoons. And she's very interested in film and storytelling, visual storytelling, not to mention spending time with friends and family. And she has also received recognition as a Confident Communicator Award last year, which I think is a fantastic skill to have and represent. And I want to take a moment to really honor both of these ladies, that English is not their first language. And to have the courage to come up here and share a little bit about their story. I just, think about those moments, where we take a moment to do the scary thing, and just want to really just support and just honor these incredible, brave young ladies. Sarah, her future plans are focused on computer science, more specifically computer programming. So in just a moment, Miss Sarah is going to come up and she will share a little bit, and then I will take time to announce and recognize our next young lady. So Sarah, if you want to come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I am truly honored to stand here today as the Student of the Month. I want to share a moment of appreciation for someone who has played an important role in shaping who I am, my teacher, Miss Rail. When I first came to the United States, everything around me felt unfamiliar. The culture, the classrooms was different from what I was used to. It was exciting but also overwhelming. In the middle of all these changes, Miss Rail became a steady teacher and supportive guide. What makes me Miss Rail so special? Um, it's not just her ability to teach, it's her ability to see her students. She pays attention, she listens, and she understands. She noticed my potential before I fully believed in it myself. Instead of letting me fade into the background as the new student, she encouraged me to speak, to ask questions, and to trust my abilities. Her classroom became my safe place where I felt comfortable, confident, and motivated. She created an environment where learning felt meaningful, not stressful. Whether she was explaining something again with patience or giving me advice when I felt unsure, and she always made me feel capable. One thing I admire the most about Miss Real is her kindness that doesn't need to be loud. It simply shows through her actions every day. Because of her, I learned that a teacher can do much more than teach a subject. They can inspire you, guide you, and help you discover the stronger version of yourself. Miss Real taught me that growth comes from believing in yourself, even when the journey feels difficult. Her support has truly shaped my confidence, my work ethic, and the person I'm becoming. Today, as I receive with recognition, I carry her influence with me. I am grateful for her encouragement and for the meaningful role she has played in my life. Thank you to the Rotary Club for this opportunity, and thank you, Ms. Rail, for believing in me.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Sarah. And just that great reminder of how one person, that encouragement can really help somebody really realize their greatness. So I'm just so glad you have that person in your life. All right, our next guest today, Jaceline, is also an 11th grader. Did I pronounce that right? Okay, I want to honor that name. Jaceline, what a beautiful name. She was also an 11th grader at the York Academy Regional Charter School, and she's involved in Honor Society as well as volleyball. She enjoys creative writing as well as learning and trying new beauty and styling techniques. I could really use some help with that. And the awards that she's received has been perfect attendance. That's impressive. That's some amazing healthiness, as well as most improved student. Her future focus is towards business and cosmetology. And I'm just looking forward to you sharing a little bit about what's going on so we can learn more about you, hear about your story, and for both of you, recognizing the gifts that you have as we hold the belief in that you will no doubt go far. So please welcome Jaceline.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I want to talk about hope. Something small but powerful enough to change a whole life. Hope is what keeps us moving even when everything feels heavy. I learned this when I moved to the United States. Leaving my country was not easy. I left my friends, my family, and the place I knew, and the life I understood. Everything felt new, confusing, and honestly a little scary. It was like starting from zero. But even in that moment, hope was the one thing I carried with me. Hope that I could learn a new language, hope that I could build a new life, hope that I would find people who understand me. Even when my accent or my words weren't perfect, hope kept me standing when I feel lost or alone. There were days when I missed home so much that I wanted to give up. Days when school felt too hard or when I didn't understand what people were saying. But hope reminded me that difficult moments were temporary and the better days were coming. Hope also helped me realize something important. Every big change in life starts with courage, but grows with hope. And every step I take now, every challenge I face is building the future I want. So when life gets tough, I remind myself that hope is not magic, it's a choice. It's choosing to believe that there's something better ahead, even when you can't see it yet. And that simple belief is what keeps me going. Thank you to the Rotary Club and to everyone who has supported me.
Wow, what an honor it is to be named Student of the Month by your school. We know how much hard work goes into earning this recognition, and showing this level of leadership at such a young age is truly remarkable. The world desperately needs your continued service and leadership, so keep serving your fellow students, your family, and your community. Our club is incredibly proud of you and wishes you the best in everything that you do. And now I invite Frank Countess to the podium to introduce our speaker for today.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Jacob Gilliland. The Gilliland family is familiar to many of us already. His father, John, is a fellow Rotarian and member of our club. His mother, Denise Del Grosso Gilliland, presented in this very room about a year and a half ago at past President Courtney's inaugural Rotary meeting. She presented on Del Grosso Foods, America's oldest pasta sauce maker, oldest family-owned pasta sauce maker, as well as Pink Power, a local not-for-profit that she founded that assists breast cancer patients and survivors. You also may know our speaker because of his lovely bride, Madison. Madison Stein Gilliland is a lifelong resident of York County. And of course, many of us know her parents, Sean and Krista Stein. Sean, of course, is also a member of our Rotary Club. So another fine example for Jacob comes from his in-laws. So enough about all these people. We're here to talk about the unique and amazing accomplishments of Jacob Gilliland. He graduated from Central York High School in 2010. He was a member of the National Honor Society. He received a varsity letter in cross country, and he achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. Is any of this really a surprise? Also, he was a member of the Governor's Youth Council for Hunting, Fishing, and Conservation, a position appointed by the governor himself. Next, Jacob went to Penn State main campus and State College, and he graduated in 2014 with a Bachelor of Science in Wildlife and Fisheries Science. I'm not going to tell you what he did for the next 4 or 5 years after college because that would spoil his presentation, but suffice it to say, he did a little long-distance hiking. Presently, Jacob is a professional fly fishing guide and outfitter for Relentless Fly Fishing and TCO Fly Shop, which is based in Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania. For nearly 10 years, he has been guiding clients from all around the world in places such as Colorado, Alaska, and now Pennsylvania. He specializes in trout with an emphasis on education. Jacob is, as an individual, is quick to listen and slow to speak. He doesn't waste time. He doesn't waste words. He is thoughtful, intelligent, deliberate, and intentional. If he tells you he intends to do something, my advice to you is don't bet against him. Without any further ado, our speaker today, Jacob Gilliland.
Anything is possible if you have the courage to make it happen. It was January 15th, 2015. I was just about to set out on a 5,000-mile journey, driving from York, Pennsylvania to Anchorage, Alaska to pursue a career in guiding. It was around this same time that I told my parents that I was going to pursue the Triple Crown of long distance hiking, a feat that involves hiking America's 3 major long distance trails from north to south, a distance covering over 7,500 miles. At the time, only around 400 people in the entire world have completed this challenge. And I wanted to be one of them. It was on October 31st of 2018 that I turned this dream into a reality. Today, I want to talk to you about pursuing a dream so ingrained in my mind that it was all I could think about for 5 years. It consumed me. It made me uncomfortable. It made me smile. It made me who I am today. This is my pursuit of the Triple Crown. So let's go here. Okay, so this is basically what I walked. So 2,186 miles on the Appalachian Trail, 2,650 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and 2,700 miles on the Continental Divide Trail, totaling 7,536 miles in 397 days. So how did this grand idea come to be? It started with a blaze. To be more specific, a double blaze. A blaze is simply a marking that is placed on the trail to guide hikers in a certain direction. In trail terms, a double blaze, which is one blaze stacked on top of one another, means a sharp turn in the trail. This is very significant. I didn't know it yet, but my life was about to make a sharp change in direction. A change I attributed to God. This picture was taken at the north end of the Susquehanna River near the town of Duncannon. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. My dad and I did a hike while I was on spring break, freshman year of college. We hiked from Duncannon to the town of Boiling Springs, which is where I work, full circle. This hike sparked something in me, a curiosity that could only be tamed by hiking more, a lot more. So what was next? I decided I wanted to explore more of PA. So throughout my college years, I went on to 30 to 40 mile section hikes on the AT in hopes of completing the entire state. By my junior year, I had finished all 230 miles of Pennsylvania. When I reached the Delaware River marking the New Jersey border, I knew that I was gearing up for something big, a massive idea. A hike that would take me more than 2,000 or over 2,000 miles through the Appalachian Mountains and across 14 states. I was going to through hike the 2,186 mile Appalachian Trail. Fast forward to June 13th, 2014. I had just completed the 100-mile wilderness, the most remote portion of the Appalachian Trail. I was taking a couple rest days at Shaw's Hostel in Monson, Maine, and I was lounging in the social room, and I saw a bunch of magazines scattered about. One of them piqued my interest. It was an edition of Backpackers Magazine, and the feature was a Triple Crown of long distance hiking. Within 5 minutes of reading, my brain was wired. The gears started grinding. This magazine had been waiting for me my entire life. The blazes have led me here. God has led me here. I, Jacob Gilliland, was going to pursue the Triple Crown of long distance hiking. So what's involved in the Triple Crown? Well, there's a planning section, and then there's a section that you have to complete. You actually have to put everything that you worked on for months and months and months into fruition and actually hike the trail. So the first thing that I did I'm not going to read all this, but the first thing that I did was plan out every single day that I was going to hike. And I planned it in such a way to put it in my mind that I actually hiked it. Like, this is how much I'm going to hike every day. And I visualized myself completing each day. I will tell you, even though the planning phase was months in advance, I was never off by more than 3 days from the original end date for each trail. And then the other thing people ask me, did you get into shape before the trail? So no, what I actually did was I started off slow and I built up my trail legs, so to speak. I wanted to throw myself into the harshest environments right off the gate and see how my body reacted to it. You don't know until you try. So what's involved for hiking the Triple Crown? You have to hike each trail in its entirety in one continuous footpath. So we basically break it down into two sections, section hiking and through hiking. So what I did was start each trail and finish in one continuous push. And then there's section hiking where you piecemeal together each trail, which quite frankly is a logistical nightmare, and it's much more expensive because you keep having to go out and do these sections. The other thing is, being flexible. You have to be adaptable, adapt to changing weather conditions and that sort of thing. So here's my stats on the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide Trail, marking the number of days and my start and end dates. So these are just some informational slides here. I'm only going to highlight a few. One of them being that there is only a 1 in 4 complete the Appalachian Trail that's set out to through hike it. So that's a pretty low percentage. Fun fact, the first person to ever through hike the Appalachian Trail was a York, Pennsylvania native by Earl V. Schaefer, otherwise known as the Crazy One. I wonder why. So, and then the other thing is approximately 90% of through hikers go northbound. I did all 3 trails southbound. So that puts me in a category of about 1 in 50. For the Pacific Crest Trail, I'll just highlight a couple things here. The highest point is over 13,000 feet. You compare that to the highest point on the Appalachian Trail, which is only 6,643 feet at Clingman's Dome. And then I had never hiked desert before, but the PCT contains 700 miles of desert. I will tell you that there is a lot of a lack of water. It's very rugged terrain, lots of rocks and sagebrush and rattlesnakes. And the Continental Divide Trail, which is the longest portion, it's only considered 85% complete. There's a lot of private land bordering Bureau of Land Management land, so they're still working on getting it 100% complete. It's also known as a build your own adventure trail. So at the least, the route would be 2,700 miles, at the most 3,100. So I chose the more expedited route because I was going southbound. I had a shorter weather window. So my goal was to get out of Colorado by the 1st of October, before the first snowfall. Here's just some cool statistics. So at the time, I was about one of 400 people to complete it in the entire world. The current number is now 837. So still less than 1,000 out of more than 8 billion people. And then, like I mentioned before, I completed all 3 trails southbound. So that puts me in a category of 1 in 50. At the time, I'm still probably less than 100 of those, 837. I started off my pack with 47 pounds on the Appalachian Trail. Because of that weight, I sustained some injuries, and so it was very slow going at first. As I got to the Western trails, I was able to reduce my base weight to 12.5 pounds. It's the things you learn. So what did I learn? The one thing I'll take away from this is you have to keep a positive attitude in the face of adversity. I'm going to talk to you about the most difficult day that I had out of the 397 days. I was in southern Colorado near Buena Vista, if any of you guys are familiar with that. I started off with a dry pack, dry clothes. I just resupplied with food. I did 30 miles that day, starting at around 5,000 feet and going well above 10,000. Half of the mileage, I was in stage 1 hypothermia. I'm pretty sure I also reached stage 2 hypothermia with about 5 miles to go because I stopped shivering and I started hallucinating. I thought it would be a good idea to pitch my tent in a dilapidated shed with nails sticking out of the floor and an abandoned arsenic mine next door. I gathered my courage and continued walking, even though there were several people that had drove by on the road and offered help, and I declined. Normally it takes me about 30 minutes, or I'm sorry, about 3 minutes to pitch my tent, but I was so cold that it took me 30 minutes to pitch my tent. Also, my cell phone was submerged in water, which didn't help because that was my navigational aid. It was by a miracle when I woke up the next morning, thankfully alive, that my cell phone worked and I was able to get out of there. So keeping a positive attitude in the face of adversity. That was a very scary moment, and I'm really glad that I survived that by the grace of God. I did. So here's some trail lingo here. I'm only going to go over a couple, NOBO and SOBO. So those are basically the two distinguishing words, northbound and southbound. So I went SOBO for all 3 trails. And I was what was known as a white blazer. So remember I had talked about the paint blazes on the tree that are white. So that means that I stick to the trail and I don't like to take any blue blazes or side trails. I always stick to the route. So most importantly, what does achieving this dream mean to me? By completing this monumental challenge, I now have the confidence to pursue even bigger and more challenging things, not only in the hiking world, but in my personal and professional life. It means I have accomplished something bigger and better than myself. It means all of the hours of hard work, poring over maps, analyzing all the gear, putting one foot in front of the other millions and millions of times, and adapting to setbacks has all paid off. It means at the time I was one of 400 people to complete this challenge. I got to see my reality unfold. This journey has made me appreciate the journey more than the destination. I've always found that my happiness stems from the simple joy of motion and being in nature. Since the completion of these trails, everyone's been asking me, what's next? Are you retired from hiking? Will I do an east to west trail? This next slideshow will give you a sneak peek of my future plans. So by completing all of these trails that are listed here, I would have 10,000 miles under my belt. Now, there's no real time rush for these, but I would say generally probably before I need knee replacements. In closing, 2014 to 2018 has been some of the best years of my life. Just when I thought life couldn't get any better, I met the love of my life, Madison, about a year after I completed the trails. When I look back on all of my hiking, I realize that God has led me right to her. I have Him to thank for everything. Anything is possible if you have the courage to make it happen. I'm going to amend that statement a little bit. Because of God, I was given the courage to make it happen. So be courageous, think outside the box, and take a little hike or a big one. Thank you. We'll open it up to question and answer.
Thank you so much for that, Jacob. That was awesome. Tell me why southbound? Why do so few people go southbound?
So that's a great question. I think a lot of people go southbound, or not a lot of people go southbound, is because of the ruggedness of the trails and the amount of snowpack that you would typically have. Also, by going northbound, you have a much larger weather window, and also tradition. People usually see the most rugged parts of the trail as kind of like a final challenge. And so they're using that to kind of motivate themselves to get to that point. And then they complete that final challenge and they feel really, really accomplished. My goal was to do the hard part first, and then the rest would be cake, or so I thought.
Jacob, I have never been more proud of you than I am right now. Well done. Well done.
Thanks, Mom.
So everyone always asks me, how did you allow your son to be out in the wilderness by himself? Didn't that make you crazy? Weren't you afraid? And I responded with a few things, and I want you to elaborate on the one. I gave it to God, like you. I knew that God was protecting you, and I know that you're a smart young man, and I knew that you could do it, and I had to let you go. But there was also a special device called Spot that gave me peace of mind. Can you share with everyone what that was and how you learned about Spot?
So Spot is a GPS tracker that I carried with me. So every night when I would get to camp, I would send GPS coordinates to my parents, and they would know exactly where I am. There was a moment on the Pacific Crest Trail where I had gotten lost. There was too much snow, and I was circling around for hours. My dad was able to pull up the GPS coordinates, which had a surrounding map of the area. He was able to guide me back to the trail. He essentially saved my life. So that was the reason why, that Spot device kept my parents at ease. It kept my mother at ease. And yeah.
As a skier, I'm fascinated by vertical drop, especially in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done the math on how many vertical feet up and vertical feet down you did cumulatively over the course of these hikes? Because I bet that is a big number.
I would say between 2.5 and 3 million.
Thank you. Very impressive.
Very impressive, I repeat. My question is, what is the umbrella organization that awards Triple Crowns?
So it's the long distance, the American Long Distance Association West. They award Triple Crown recipients. You have to fill out a form online, and then you get invited to an award ceremony, which is either held in Washington, Oregon, or California. Believe it or not, I did not register. And the reason being is I don't care. I didn't do it for anybody. I did it for myself.
Thank you, Jacob. Real quick, what was your Appalachian Trail name? And did you give it to yourself or did someone give it to you?
So to answer that last question, a trail name is never given to you. Or I'm sorry, you can't give yourself a trail name. It has to be given to you. My trail name is Fish. Fish, not PH. So that's the trail name I carried with me throughout my hiking career. The person that gave it to me, her trail name was Sky Chicken. And she was from Texas. And I got my trail name within the first 10 days of the trail in the 100-mile wilderness.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. I recently read the book Walking Home by Rick Rogers, who did the PCT. So curious if you read that, it looks like you have, and if you are considering writing a book. It was really fascinating.
So I'm not much of a writer, although my family claims that I have great writing skills. If I were to write a book, I would definitely have a ghostwriter do it because I don't really enjoy writing. But I do have enough experiences to write a book. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Question over here. Have you encountered any dangerous situations with wildlife What was your reaction and how did you handle that?
So day 2 of hiking the Continental Divide Trail, I came face to face with a grizzly bear. And it was a young bear, but I was with my dad at the time because he had hiked with me for a couple days on the trail. And we came around a corner and we saw the bear, and it was up on its hind legs. And luckily it didn't show too many signs of aggression, but it was a very dangerous situation because we were in a national park, so we were not carrying. I also did not have bear spray at the time, so it was very nerve-wracking. I almost stepped on a 4-foot rattlesnake in southern Connecticut, and that would have been a trail-ending situation if I would have gotten bit from such a large venomous snake. So yes, there were lots of encounters. Luckily, I didn't see any mountain lions. That was the one thing when I was out west that scared me the most was getting ambushed by a mountain lion.
You had mentioned about having to keep a positive attitude throughout the whole process, but I have to think, were there times where you were just like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I mean, where you felt like I'm in a little over my head, or you just, talk about that a little bit.
So yeah, there were several times where I was like, why am I doing this? I will tell you, the day before I started the Appalachian Trail, my parents dropped me off and I was at the shelter. The mosquitoes were everywhere. I didn't have a bug net. There were some mice that had chewed a hole in my bag of peanut M&Ms. And I was like, why am I doing this? There was another time where I had camped out at just below 11,000 feet, which is a big no-no. You're supposed to camp out below 10,000, but I was like, what the heck? I got snowed on 6 inches and I completely lost the trail. So if it was not for the navigational app on my cell phone, I would not have been able to make it out of there. But again, why am I doing this? And then I had mentioned the hypothermia event. Again, why am I doing this? But what I wanted to do was kind of push my body to its absolute limit to see what I'm made of. And it was only by the grace of God that I made it out of there alive.
I have a question also, which springs off of what you're talking about with the physical strength, emotional strength, mental strength, but also could you touch on the spiritual strength that you come out through this as you're pushing your body through this, as you're pushing your mind? What about the spirit and how you're relying on God to provide in those ways?
Yeah, so everybody talks about, praying and, being spiritual. It's easy to do it during the bad times, but you also have to remember, during the good times as well, you need to be thankful for everything God has given you. And I remember one time I was circling through the game lands of Vermont. I was actually lost because there was a bridge detour that I had missed. So I was walking around lost. And I just remember the warm sensation on my shoulders. And it was like God was placing his hands on my shoulders saying, everything's going to be okay. I have you. And, with each trail that I walked, I got more and more spiritual and kind of immersed in his beauty. I feel closest to God when I'm out in nature. So it only made sense that I wanted to continue to do this because it was just him and I. And it was a huge spiritual leap forward in my faith. And I would encourage anybody who's tired of all the distractions in our current world to go out in nature and do some exploring.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Wonderful job. My question was, you mentioned a few times that your dad was with you or somebody else was with you. So how much of your hiking trip was spent alone and how much was spent with others, assisting you?
So 99.9% was solo. My dad joined me twice on each trail, just for a few days. And that really kind of boosted my morale, something to look forward to. Probably one of my most memorable moments with Dad was summiting Mount Whitney. And I had to help him quite literally carry him up the mountain. But yeah, I was 99.9% solo.
How did you occupy your mind while you're doing all this hiking? Did you listen to podcasts? Did you solve some kind of problems, recite the Bible? What did you do?
So a lot of my time was spent listening to music. I would download entire albums onto my phone and listen to entire albums. Sometimes I would get tired of the music and just wanted to be silent. But what kept motivating me, and I would actually, recite this in my mind, was who was going to be there at the finish line. And so I imagined my whole family being there, my friends. And that really encouraged me to keep pushing forward, because I would just imagine this, even though it wasn't realistic for hundreds of people to be there. But it just kind of motivated me to get through. And I did think about the Bible. I didn't carry a Bible with me, but I really wish I had the Bible app at the time, because that would have been really helpful.
Jacob, 2 questions. One, you mentioned there were places where water was scarce. So I wonder, how did you navigate that? How did you stay hydrated? And secondly, there had to be places where you didn't have cell service. So was that a little unnerving to worry that you were going to get lost?
So in the sections of desert that didn't have water where it was scarce, I solely relied on people storing water in water caches. So I'm very thankful for the volunteers who help with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten through. So every so often there would be water caches, say maybe 20 to 30 miles apart. So I'd have to carry about 1.5 gallons of water with me. And then as far as the navigational stuff, I was able to work with my navigational app called GutHook offline, so I didn't need cell service for that. I also had a battery pack, which would give me 1 full charge, which was just enough between towns to get me to where I needed to go.
You had mentioned that your pack weight started out at 42 pounds or something like that and ended up at 12. So I was just curious what you lost or changed to get the weight down that far as you hiked.
So going from 47 pounds, which was my total weight, to a base weight of 12.5. Now, base weight is just the weight of your pack, everything inside and out, minus food, water, and fuel. So I changed a lot of things. One, I packed less clothes. Number 2, I didn't make as much trail mix, because it's very, very heavy. And I also, read a lot. I think it was Andrew Skirka's Ultimate Adventure Gear Guide, which selected items that were going to be lightweight yet durable. And I basically converted my entire system to get it as light as possible. Now, another thing, going into the 100-mile wilderness, day 2 of the Appalachian Trail, I had to bring 10 days of food and water. So, 2 pounds per day of food adds up. So that's why my pack was so heavy right off the get-go.
Thank you for sharing the story. I have 2 questions for you. 1, how did you take care of your feet? And 2, how did you reintegrate back into regular life?
Good questions. Okay, so foot care, I would basically have 3 pairs of socks, and they had to be a wool blend because the wool wicks the moisture from your feet. So I would have 2 pairs that I would interchange throughout the day, and then always keep a dry pair with me, only to be worn at night and in town. If I got a blister, I would use Leuco tape, which is a medical grade tape. Duct tape or a second skin or moleskin did not work. It would fall right off. But I've had Leuco tape last for like a week straight without it coming off. So highly recommended. Adapting back into society was That's the part that nobody talks about. It was very, very difficult to get back into regular life because, for one, you're not talking a whole lot when you're on the trail. So my speech was kind of impeded a little bit. I had to relearn how to talk. I found myself getting irritable at the simple things because essentially what it was is I stopped moving. So I wasn't getting the dopamine and the endorphins flowing. All of a sudden, it just stopped. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fly fisherman. So getting back into fly fishing really, really helped me adapt back into society. So that's kind of like my therapeutic time to reflect. So.
Hey, Jake. Can you talk about your food prep? That's the question I get asked the most, is how you were able to plan. Because I don't think you touched on this, but I remember coming to the back office and seeing your entire trails USPS boxes ready to ship out, and you actually shipped your own food and then picked them up in town. So can you talk a little bit about what that prep was like? So people know?
Absolutely. So there's two ways I got food. Number one, I would go to the grocery store before I would hike, and then I would box everything up and package them into Ziploc bags and then send them to myself. I had an entire list of trail towns and ETAs of when I was going to be there. I never missed a single package. The other way I would get food is just going into town into a grocery store and picking out what I wanted. Now, as far as what food I would bring, anything that had over 100 calories per ounce, preferably 125, 150. Snickers bars, peanut butter, Fritos, basically all the stuff you wouldn't want to eat on a regular basis.
Over here. Nice job over here. You touched on how did the trip impact your relationship with God, your view of God, but also your view of people, relationships. I mean, you touched on that was hard to get back, but in the long run, both of those, please.
So can you repeat that question? I know it was a long one.
How has your trips, your hiking impacted your view, your relationship with God, and also with people in the long run?
So after all of the trails, my view of God was everything was possible through him by his grace, and he's a very forgiving God. And he kind of showed me the way. And there were a lot of people who helped me out along the way, whether it be through the planning phase, on the trail, helping me when I, needed somebody to talk to. So I view my relationship with him very highly because he has worked through all of these people and placed them in specific parts along the trail to help me out. And one thing I also noticed on the trails is you really see somebody's true identity, and there really is, a little bit of good in everyone. Everybody's longing for something, longing for love, and God's love and his grace and his mercy got me through everything.
Over here. So in preparing physically, did you lift weights? Did you run? Tell us a little bit about that. And also, was there a point at which you ever thought that you couldn't make it?
So I didn't train physically before each trail. What I would do is I would start hiking, maybe doing like 10 to 15 miles a day. My pack was essentially my weight lifting. But I would start out 10 to 15 miles a day, eventually go to 20 to 25. The last trail I was doing 25 to 30. I even did one 40-mile day. But for me, there wasn't really a point in training physically before the trail because I really wouldn't know what it's like until I threw myself in there. So there was that. What was the other part? The other question you had? Oh, thank you. Yeah, there were a couple times. So in Montana, I had been pushing pretty hard, doing 22 to 25 miles a day for about a week or two. And it's the most I had done kind of like right out of the gate. I sustained a knee injury, and I remember getting up that morning and I could only hike 1 or 2 miles, and then I collapsed to the ground. Luckily, I had cell service and I called my mother, and I basically had to limp about 7 miles to the trailhead, but I did not think I could make it. It hurt so bad. So the Appalachian Trail, my celebration consisted of a surprise. 1 mile from the end, my grandparents and my parents surprised me. We hiked the last mile together. And then was it Yingling? I wanted an American flag in Yingling. On the Pacific Crest Trail, I celebrated with some Pacifico lager. And I was with mom and dad. And then the last trail was with my grandmother, Karen, my mom and dad, and my dad. And I had Corona and a cherry pie.
Jake, I hope you'll forgive me, and I hope this question doesn't demean your marvelous achievement. But I, like probably many people in the room, have either read or seen the movie A Walk in the Woods. And one of the enjoyable things about Bill Bryson's tale are the people that he met on the trail. So did you meet some interesting people / characters on your many walks?
I did. And I enjoyed hearing about their different stories. And, you know, the reasons why people are hiking these trails are crazy. People that were drug addicts were trying to get clean. People that had a rough home life and they wanted to get away. People that were in between jobs or they wanted to minimalize their life, sold the house, sold everything, and were just on the Appalachian Trail. So everybody's, story was pretty unique in that. So yeah, a lot of interesting people. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jacob, for sharing such an inspiring look into your journey. Your stories from completing the Triple Crown remind us of what is possible when determination meets passion. Your perspective on dreaming big and pushing limits and carving your own path is something that we can all carry with us. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and we wish you continued success in your adventures, both on and off the trail. Our speaker is trying to combo words there. Our speaker has signed a book to be donated to the York Academy Regional Charter School, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. And this week's book is The Alchemist. Next week, what Rotary meeting will feature fun, festive, and prize-packed game of Rotary Jeopardy? If you answered, what is Wednesday, December 17th? You are correct. The Membership Engagement Committee is taking over the meeting and bringing the holiday cheer with an exciting game of Rotary Jeopardy. We'll have great prizes, fun categories, and plenty of laughter guaranteed. And we would like everyone to join in the holiday spirit, whether that's rocking an ugly Christmas sweater, dressing up as Buddy the Elf. Yeah. Did I hear, is that JT saying he's going to join? No. Or channeling your inner Mr. or Mrs. Claus, or you could, take the Dave Meckley challenge and wear some festive headwear. Bring your holiday flair and your game face and your competitive spirit. So mark your calendars, bring your holiday cheer, and get ready for a Rotary meeting unlike any other. So we can't wait to see you there. Hope we have a good crowd there. Please note there will not be a Zoom option for this meeting. It will not be recorded for posting on YouTube. Kind of makes you wonder what's going to go on there. I have no idea. I'm as in the dark as you guys are. So you have to be here for the fun and the prizes. So with that, this meeting is adjourned and we look forward to seeing everyone next week. Oh, you did?